develop, don't bring anybody in, and it just keeps working. I think a lot of people see themselves, sort of as the Lions in America. I think they've just improved. And people resent when you take shortcuts, whether it's for your football team, basketball team, or in life. So, it's I don't think there's any question if the Detroit Lions make the Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs, it will shatter every record. I predicted Ohio State and Oregon was going to shatter records, and that was a terrible game, and that broke records. So there are certain games you can see in our business that are just big. Detroit making the Super Bowl is going to shatter every Super Bowl viewing record. I think they represent the middle of the country. It's like I said yesterday, it's the Chicago Cubs in shoulder pads. And everybody remembers that, Cubs World Series and Joe Buck on the call, and it resonates. Like people want to see people who have had a hard life. Nobody wants to see the wealthy guy win Powerball. Like, nobody wants to see that. That's what the Warriors felt like. They already had money, and they got Kevin Durant. People resented that, even though the Warriors had built up through the draft a really good team that had already won a title. People thought it was too rich of icing for already a great wealthy cake. They didn't like it. Detroit is doing it the right way. I was surprised because Golden State, to me, did it the right way. And then just like a lot of teams, they went and added a piece. A lot of teams do that. I mean, Shaq and D. Wade won a title. Nobody resented that. I mean, the Celtics had Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett, and they had Paul Pierce, and nobody resented that. But, boy, when KD is so great, then when KD went to the Warriors, people were like, and it didn't matter that Steph, Clay, and Draymond, didn't matter they were drafted and developed. And that Draymond was second round, and Klay Thompson played at Little Washington State, and Steph Curry played at Davidson. It was like, and they won before Kevin Durant got there. It just felt like too much. People push back. Wealthy guy won Powerball. Gross. We don't like it. So I think Detroit's the opposite of that. They are all homegrown. They've done it the right way. They've dusted themselves off. And, it's hard for me not – Philadelphia's been there many times. It's hard for me not to root for Detroit. I don't like rooting for teams per se. I don't want confirmation bias. I want to come in clean every day with here's my opinion based on what I saw. It'd be hard not to root for Detroit to get to a Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. It'd be hard not to, because we've all witnessed what's happened for most of the previous 50 years.
Okay. So, yeah. I wanted to talk about this for a few different reasons, because there's a few exciting things, honestly, going on with the Detroit Lions that I think bodes really well for them. Because I'm noticing, and it makes sense, they have the bye, and so everyone's focusing on the teams that are playing, right? That's the important thing. And because of that, you almost forget who the Detroit Lions are. You forget how ferocious and formidable they are. We live in such this like quick, fast-paced, immediate, instant gratification online society. I'm not trying to make like some sort of, commentary on the world here, but it just things happen so rapidly. Like, even that game, the Vikings versus the Lions, game's already over. It's already it's like a dream, like it already fades away. I already forget, how did that unfold? How did they score? It's already over. It's done. And so it's like you forget just how ferocious and physical and dominant the Lions are. And the reality is that for the last few weeks, there was more doubt around the Detroit Lions. So I actually think that that's still the taste that people have in their mouth with the Detroit Lions. That they still kind of think like, yeah, this team was really good, but not as good as they were because of all the injuries. And now somehow people will be, I think this is overused expression all the time. Oh, keep sleeping on this team, sleeping on that team, sleeping on that team. But I think there is. Because again, there's like even like a lack of content around them. I mean, people are more willing to make like the 100th Ravens or the 100th Packers and Eagles video because, again, they are playing this weekend. So I get why the conversations are going to be steered in that direction. You're also guaranteed to have another week of content that you can create around the Lions you can't say that about the Eagles, the Ravens, the Packers, any of the teams that are playing this week, because this could be your last chance to make all the Ravens content you want, all the Steelers content you want, because then the next week no one's going to really want to consume Pittsburgh Steelers content if they lose in the playoffs. It's going to be Detroit Lions. And I think that really works to the advantage of the Lions, honestly. I really do. Like, I think they have that chance, and it all depends on who they play, of course. But their first round, like, they have the chances to be just like a crush. When you watch a movie that's like really loud and really, like the sound effects are just very much in your face, and it's like a fighting movie or a fight, some sort of fighting thing, and someone gets like punched, and you really feel the force, the crunch. You hear the crunch, you like your seat shakes, like you just feel it. It's like, whoa. Like, that's what it feels like the Lions have the potential to do. We're like, all right, we're going up against the Lions. Here we go. They're a little bit hobbled. They're a little banged up. They're going to be rusty. They haven't played for a week. And then it's just going to be like, bam, bam. And it's going to be like, oh, this is the Lions team that we thought didn't exist anymore. Like, again, it's cartoonish. We're like, oh, we thought you were a cat, not a lion. Thought you were a little kitty. Only for it to just be ferocious. And I agree with Colin. Like, I do think that people are cheering and rooting for the Lions. I think it would, especially from an NFC perspective, would be the most popular NFC team, more than the Packers, the Eagles, the Vikings, the Commanders, because people also know the Lions now. The world has to be reintroduced to the Commanders, to the Packers to a degree. The Eagles are wildly popular. They're one of the most popular teams in the NFL, and they have been for a while. And everyone knows, obviously, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens. But I feel like this past couple of years, people were being reintroduced to the Lions. And if you're just kind of a casual fan turning on the TV, wanting to watch some games, the playoffs, you have to be told, why should I root for this team? Why the Detroit Lions? And, like, that's what they've been doing. People love the story of the Lions, of Dan Campbell, of Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Again, it was kind of perfect for them because they were introduced to everyone in that first year on Hard Knocks. Things didn't obviously go as well as planned. But then that following year, boom, they're obviously in the playoffs, in the NFC Championship game. I mean, they started off the season by beating the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, that was also a standalone nationally televised game. That was like, oh, who's this team? Like, I guarantee you, just that game alone, the casual fan is like, I'm a Detroit Lions fan now. I'm rooting for them. And then it was a heartbreaker in the NFC Championship game, and people feel that. People feel that. That's going to earn support for the Lions. And then you see how dominant they've been this season. And you can just see all of this momentum building. So, yeah, I mean, I think an NFC Championship game between the Lions and the Eagles would be, like, massive. Massive, massive, massive. And, yeah, when he said the Lions versus the Chiefs, I don't know if it would be Lions versus Chiefs. It would either be the Lions or the Chiefs, or the Lions versus... There's a few things. Because you could have the Lions versus the Bills, because then that would be, like, who's going to, finally win and who's going to lose again. You have the Ravens. Make no mistake about it. The Ravens and Lamar Jackson. Like, you have a lot of people across the country that really want Lamar Jackson to win. And the Baltimore Ravens. But I could see it. I could see it being any of those three teams. It would be big. I think you might get extra people to come in to watch the Kansas City Chiefs because they want to see the Chiefs lose. Whereas if it's a Lions versus Chiefs Super Bowl, you're probably going to have extra fans for the Lions because a lot of people are going to be watching just to hope that the Chiefs lose. Whereas if it's the Lions versus the Bills or the Lions versus the Ravens, I think you get very split. You'll obviously have a tremendous amount of Lions fans, both actual true fans and the more general casual fans, and then you're going to have also the fan bases of course of the Bills and the Ravens that will really even it out. And so I think that's probably what it would come down to more than anything. It would be interesting to see the Eagles versus the Lions in the NFC Championship game. And again, obviously both fan bases, huge, passionate, intense media. But it would be interesting to see who, again, where the general casual fan is, who's just kind of like, okay, what, who do I want to see win this? Like, again, it probably, to me, would probably lean heavily towards the Lions more than the Eagles, because the Eagles were just in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. I don't think they have that narrative momentum that the Lions have. I don't think they've gone as viral as much as the Lions have with Dan Campbell and again, all of these storylines. And I just think, a team like the Lions, like the random moms of the world, are more likely to be like, I like the Lions. I mean, just even their colors seem more like welcoming, honestly. Just even that color scheme is more like, oh, that's cute. I could say I want that jersey. And I don't think they're saying that about the Philadelphia Eagles, quite frankly. So I hope we get some of those big body matchups in these games like this, because it just would be really, really fun. And I was kind of sold on the Buffalo Bills Lions Super Bowl just because of the historical context behind those teams. And like Colin said, the Eagles were just there, and so you're kind of find yourself rooting for the Lions. Well, it's kind of the same thing with the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, it's like we've already seen that multiple times, obviously. And so you kind of want some new energy. And it's like, it would be frustrating if we're watching this Detroit Lions Super Bowl and they're going up against the Kansas City Chiefs and they have to keep showing us like Taylor Swift. Like, I want to focus on the Detroit Lions. I don't care what Taylor Swift is doing. Like I want to focus on the Lions. I'm here for the Lions or something. Like, and it's just, I just want to keep it football. So, however this unfolds, obviously getting ahead of ourselves, talking about the Super Bowl and the ratings and all of that. But, I think Colin speaks a lot of truth here, and he obviously speaks from decades of experience within the media. So all interesting stuff, but I do find it fascinating, this idea of people kind of, you kind of already start to forget who the Lions are. And don't get me wrong, I think the Chiefs are benefiting from that too, because they had that game where they got blown out by the Broncos, obviously backups and all that, but there's still that belief of like, the Chiefs aren't as special as we think they are, and they're just kind of sitting there like, okay, sure, we'll let you know how special we are on January, whatever. And I think it's similar with the Lions. So interesting stuff. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Detroit Lions and about, essentially becoming America's team, right? The masses rooting for the Lions, and just the idea of people potentially sleeping on the Lions because of this bye and because of, the lack of faith in them going into that final game and into this bye. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.